Okay, this is the way Pop OS comes up when you first install it. The only thing I've done to this so far is added the Voco screen so that I can record this, and I've done the updates through the Pop Shop, and I'm going to double check. Since I did this yesterday, let's make sure there's no new updates. And as you see, there's no components waiting to update, which is what it says. But it's always a good idea to double check. So I'm going to do a manual if I can type. Okay, so this says all packages are up to date, which is where you want to be when you're going to make major changes, such as changing the desktop. So the first thing I'm going to do is download Budgie. So I start typing Budgie, and you see Budgie desktop settings come up. And you want to install client preferences. Excuse me. Okay, this one takes a little longer than the Budgie desktop, so I'm going to pause this. Okay, so they're both installed, and I'm going to close this, and I'm going to stop the recording, and then I'm going to record what it looks like when you log out. So we're going to do a log out, and one thing that I've noticed different about Pop OS, and I've not tried to install any other desktop environment on it, is that most other distros, when you log out and you have multiple distros, there'll be a choice as to what distro you use. I've not seen that when I install Pop. It just automatically goes to Pop. Okay, when it comes up, after you log out, this is what you see. This logon screen, except it blanked out on me. Move the mouse. And what's different about Pop OS is normally right about here, there'll be a choice to pick the different desktop environment you have installed. I've not seen that when I installed just kind of hard to hold the camera still and type. Sorry for the jitteriness. I've not seen that with, okay, and here it's coming up, and you'll notice that activity is gone, and instead there's a little GNOME footprint up there. That's the default, but we're going to change that. Anyways, well, let's get back to the screencast so that you don't have this my shaky hand here. Okay, now we're back on the screencast, and the very first thing I want to do is make some changes to this panel so that I can see what's going on. So I clicked this little box in the upper left hand corner. You can get to this via the menu too, by the way. And I probably should have shown this, but back on the GNOME, when you click and you get a drop down and you see a little gearbox, it brings up the main system settings. Once Budgie is installed, it's going to bring up the Budgie desktop settings. We'll still get to those main system settings. I'll show you how in a little bit. So this may be anything. I've seen this be a couple of different things set in here. I'm going to change this to pop, and I'm going to change this to pop, and I'm going to turn off the dark because I like. So I'm going to use this standard and kind of pop stuff, and you'll notice the icon changed up here. Kind of similar to the icon that brings up all the apps in Android, wouldn't you say? And so we're going to leave all that alone. Desktop icons, we want that turned on in case you decide to put anything on the desktop. You could put the home directory, network servers, trash, mounted volumes. See all that here? That's my phone, by the way. That's how I copied the file over so that I could merge those together. But I'm gonna leave those off. You can set those how you like, obviously. And then we're going to go over here to Windows. This is all pretty much standard. We'll leave that alone. And then we're going to add something right away to the top panel. And so I find it very difficult with Budgie to find programs what you've minimized. The plank lets you get to them, but without the plank I find it very difficult. So I'm going to add the task list, and this is something that most people are familiar with, and they see with Windows systems is what's running up here on the bar. Now, you could add a separate panel at the bottom and put the task list down there and leave this alone up here. This is the way I set it up. You can change that easily. You know, there's create a new panel. Put it on the bottom. You know, so I'm gonna get rid of it. But anyways, you could do that. Budgie is fairly customizable. Not as much as, say, KDE. Similar to Cinnamon, and I think more so than GNOME. That's my opinion. I've not used Mate, but I hear that's fairly customizable. I've used it, but not really stayed with it very long, so to be honest, I'm not that familiar with it. Okay, so now we have this, and we're going to go to the Pop Shop and add some applications. Okay, this because I don't like to forget and I want it added right away is Gparted. This is right password. Remember which computer I'm on. Now we're going to add the Synaptic Package Manager. A lot of things that you won't find in Pop Shop. I apologize for the background noise. There's fans running. As I pause because I have a cold and allergy, I have a filter running to try and get some of that stuff out of the air for me. Okay, so that's installed. Not letting me go back. Okay, now I'm gonna look for something here that okay, it's not here. I'm looking for the Microsoft fonts. Just to see if they have it in their Pop Shop. And I'm not seeing it. Okay, so we will definitely use Synaptic Package Manager to get those in. Now, the plank. You know, I don't know if there's different versions of the Budgie and it's been updated recently, but I've installed the Budgie desktop environment in the past, and it comes with the plank. Okay, this did not, so we're going to install that. Okay, so that's it. Plank Preferences is already installed. This is where it gets its updates from, by the way, is here in their Pop Shop. There is an update manager to set the repository and all that, which is the exact same update manager that almost all Ubuntu's use. Anyways, I believe that's all I want to check for. You know, there's a couple of tools in Terminal we're going to install, and we'll do all that from the Synaptic Package Manager. But let's get the plank working. So we're going to run down here. And there's plank. So we're going to launch that. And you can put plank on the bottom so that it looks more Apple-like with the dock or plank on the bottom. I prefer it on the left-hand side on laptops because there's more real estate. You know, laptop screens tend to be wider than they are tall. Now we're going to launch Plank Preferences. Okay, I'm going to show this here. You may not decide to keep plank preferences in your dock, but I'm gonna show it here. And I'll click. Where'd it go? Maybe I waited too long. Let's try it again. So we're going to keep it in dock, so that when we close it, there it still is. Okay, I'm going to make those a little bigger so that my blind eyes can read them. As you can see, you can change themes, do something different, make it look different. I'm going to stick with this, and like I said, you can move it to the bottom if that's the way you like it. But I'm going to leave it here for now. I'm going to leave it centered. The behavior, I want to make it a telehide, but you can leave it as it is or do anything you want. And that's it. There's a few things you can add to it. But I'm going to do that. Now, I don't have two of the same thing here. Let's get rid of one of those. Yeah, we don't need that. There's a mail package, Geary. It's okay. I prefer Thunderbird, but it's okay. Image viewer, calendar, videos, Firefox that I'm running right now to do this screencast, and then there's plank preferences. So, settings. You'll see two here, settings and Budgie desktop. We can get to the Budgie desktop settings with this button over here. And now it shows the little gear icon because we changed the icons, and we can get to the Budgie desktop settings, but we want to get to the main system settings. Okay, and I'm going to keep that in dock, and this is where you're going to get to your Wi-Fi settings. If you have multiple Wi-Fi, or if you're using the internet and Wi-Fi, if you're going to set up Bluetooth, you're going to set up VPN, change the background, and I'm going to change the background just for the heck of it, just because I find that blue screen annoying. It's got some pretty interesting stuff. And then select notifications. That will come up. Where to search when you use the search. Region and landscape. Online accounts. Privacy. Privacy. This is where you turn off screen lock. So if you don't want it to time out and then ask for a password, this is where you turn that off. The computer name, and I believe you can change that. I'll leave that alone. Here's where you change your sound settings if you have multiple, or you want to change the output volume. Okay, power shows I'm fully powered. Screen brightness, I'll get a little brighter than it is now. Oh, isn't that better? If it's too bright for you, I like it. I'm old and blind. When you're inactive, it starts to dim. Turn Wi-Fi off to save power. Yeah, you can probably leave that alone. Okay. How long you want it to blank the screen? I like to give myself a little more time. Automatic suspend when the power button is pressed. I'm going to say power off. Suspend doesn't turn off the machine. When people who use, I don't like hibernate at all, and suspend saves a little power, but you're still using power. Look at our devices. I happen to have a printer on my network here, and it found that automatically, by the way. That brother printer. Keyboard. This is where you look up all the shortcuts, and there are some really interesting shortcuts that this system allows and has set. And you can change there are some that are not set, disabled or not set. Here's where you can adjust the sensitivity of your mouse and touchpad. We have tap to click, two-finger scrolling, edge scrolling, its speed, the natural scrolling. You can turn it off if you're having issues with it and you want to use a wireless mouse. The one thing I don't see here that I'd like to see is I'd like to see turn off touchpad while typing. I'd like to see that, but they don't seem to have that here. There may be a terminal command you can use to do that. Okay, if you have multiple displays, what to do with removable media, and if you really want to play around with changing the screen. Okay, the details of this machine. Default applications. I do wish they had a better way and a way here of setting up the default applications for opening, say, Word docs, or because what if you're using FreeOffice or OpenOffice by Apache instead of LibreOffice? You would have to get rid of LibreOffice, or it's going to continue to insist on using LibreOffice as the default. Removable media. No, I showed that already. That's it. Okay. So, we're going to go back to here, and we're going to go to Auto Start. Here's where things will run as soon as the system comes up. What's it called in Windows? Startup something. Anyways, we're going to add an application. And what we're going to add is the first one it shows here at the top is Plank. So that when the system is rebooted, Plank is already loaded. Okay. Now we're going to add a couple of things with Synaptic Package Manager. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to search. And what I'm going to search on is maybe I did it wrong. Let's see if it finds it this way. Microsoft font. I think I was putting TFF and it's really TTF, I believe. I know what I'm looking for, that's why I'm scrolling quickly. Okay, so here we have TTF, True Type Fonts. And we're looking for this one. TTF-M-Score, or probably Microsoft Core Fonts Installer. This will give you Times New Roman and a few others. Oh, this one right here. Arial, Arial Black, Comic Sans, Courier. So if you're sharing files or using files that came from Windows or sending Word docs or what it calls Calc in here, which is Excel, and you want the fonts to remain what they were and to read the fonts properly, you want to download this. So I am going to right click and mark for installation. It's going to add these other things, so I'm going to mark that. And I always check the mark recommended for installation just to see if it's got everything, and it did. Okay, now the other thing we're going to look for is a little terminal program, INXI, and you'll find this extremely helpful for troubleshooting problems. If somebody's trying to help you with a problem, the first thing they're going to ask you to do is send me an INXI dash at uppercase FZXC0. Don't worry, you don't have to remember that. They'll tell you what it is. And that gives a detailed terminal printout of everything that's in your system so that they can help you. Again, we're going to double check. And it's got everything. Well, it doesn't need everything. Okay. Another handy program is Xinput. And that's already installed. Runtime configuration text of Xinput. This is real helpful for troubleshooting touchpad, mouse issues, etc. That's already installed. Excellent. Now we're going to look for something pSensor. And what that does for monitoring hardware, so that lets you look at the temperatures on your system. I'm going to mark that for installation. It's going to do a few extras. I'll mark that. It's going to make sure it's got all its. Okay, there are no recommended. It's already got them. Okay. Now here's another hard info. Sometimes it doesn't come up with that name on the menu. System Profiler, I think, is what it comes up with when it loads. I don't know that it's a small application. I guess it says it's small, but it will give you a lot of detail about what's in your system, and you can print that to an HTML. It's even more thorough than the INXI, and it also has some benchmarks that will run, that you can run with it. So this is also very handy to have. Okay, so it's got everything recommended. Now you notice I went ahead and I went through and I marked everything. I just was marking everything. So the Synaptic Package Manager, and I guess you can do that with PopShot, where click install and then click install, but I like the way Synaptic Package Manager does it. You do them all, then you're going to click apply. It's going to show everything that we marked that's going to apply, and we're going to apply that. If you want to see what's happening, it's going to show the terminal commands that it's doing. Okay, this comes up just configuring TF because it's Microsoft. Okay, this is a non-free, which is a Linux terminology, meaning not that it costs money, but that it's not free open source software. So, do you accept the EULA? Well, it won't load it if you don't. I'm not going to pause because it's moving along pretty quickly here. Of course, you can slide the video over, but there it is. So we're going to close that. I'm going to close that. This is Linux. This is not Windows. I do not have to reboot the machine for those software packages to work. If I was installing a hardware driver or a new kernel, then yes, I would. I would want to make sure those have fully taken effect. Although even hardware drivers will happen immediately. So let's see. We're going to look here at accessories. Okay. Okay. So there's P-Sensor. It comes up defaulting in the Celsius mode. You can change that to Fahrenheit if that's what you're used to dealing with. So I click Preferences, and now I'm going to click there, and I'm going to click OK. And this machine's running not too bad for a laptop. Sitting on a table. Okay. Now, if you find some of these names hard to understand, or like, what's this temp1? If you right click and click Preferences, it'll tell you what that is. It's the ACPI. So you can change that name so that's what it shows. Of course, that's my hard drive down here, running pretty cool. Those are all decent temperatures for a laptop, believe it or not. Let's take a look at system tools. Let's look at the system profiler and benchmark. So, got a lot of things here. There's a summary. Shows everything that's in the machine. Even shows the printers attached. Details about the operating system we're running. You can run benchmarks if you want to see how your system is doing in comparison. I moved my mouse even though it said not to. Okay, so this is showing where we stand. Lower is better. So this is comparing it, and that's kind of nice to have. So put a terminal. I'm going to keep that in dock. Okay. And that's the little that shows what's in the machine, and X input is going to show what's going on. There's various commands with that. The X input allows you to do. Okay, that's how I customize it.